All right, let's just take a couple minutes. Let's let some more people join in, and then we'll get this bad boy rolling. All right. I know a lot of people here is excited to learn how to become the owner of your own church. Buying your church, maybe taking your church and refinancing. So I'm excited to be here. So let's give them a couple more minutes, and then let's get this ball rolling. All right, let's get it going. Let's get it going. All right. So once again, thank you for allowing me to talk to the pastors, the ministers, the leaders of the church. Um, Thank you for tuning in, and I want to go over to you with you the arts that you can take advantage of. All right, so let's get this thing rolling. All right, so what we're going to be doing today, I'm going to talk to you guys about buying your church. All right, being able to own the church, have ownership. When you have ownership of the ministry, you can do more in the community. You can assist families and whatnot. So, thank you so much for tuning in, and we're going to continue getting this bad boy rolling. All right, so um, it says in Matthew 16:18, the verse says, "And I tell you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overcome it." All right, so this is all about owning and building and purchasing your church. This is what it's about. When you own your location, you can do more in the community. If you rent your location, you are subject to problems from the owner of the location. So I'm going to take care of you guys. I'm going to show you how you can actually buy your church, become an owner, and what you're going to need to do these things. All right? So a lot of people ask, what benefits do I have in owning my church? Why spend my time going through the process? Do I have even enough members to own a church? How soon can we begin the process of purchasing the church? So, my name is Rick Charles. I'm a commercial loan officer. I specialize in helping people own churches, whether you're a pastor, whether you're the minister, whether you're the leader of the facility. I'll help you own the church. So I'll help you buy it. I'll help you go through the process and whatnot. A little bit about me. I'm a former Marine Corps veteran. I served the United States Marine Corps in 2003 and spent some time there and did some stuff. Got a chance to go to Japan. I got a chance to do Operation Iraqi Freedom. The little picture on the bottom corner there is when I first got in. You know, you take that picture right out of boot camp and whatnot. But now I'm doing mortgages, commercial loans, and whatnot, and I'm actually helping people with the opportunity to buy a church. So a recently closed deal we just did a deal that was in Memphis, Tennessee. The church had a situation. They wanted to buy the church, and they ended up reaching out to my office, and we helped them get the deal. Got a nice church building. That's what they put down. The seller credited them with 75,000. That was the contract price, and we were able to put everything together for them. And this was like recently, like just like last month, we got this one done, and whatnot. So the church was Hack Cross Road. They were questioning whether they wanted to sell the location or keep the current church. And the other problem they had was they had a problem finding someone to do the loan. And what they did is somebody ended up reaching out to my office. We had some stuff online, and they actually ended up reaching out to our office, and they reached out to us, and we put the deal together. And lo and behold, we were able to get everything closed for them. But the thing is, they went through the process. They were able to get everything done, everything that needed to happen, and lo and behold, they own a church. This is a beautiful location. They're getting everything. They got everything done. They're in the church now, and it was just a fabulous transaction. So, what's needed in order to buy a church? So, you're gonna need a CPA prepared financials for 3 years, the last 3 years. You're gonna need either a constitution or a church bylaws. Okay, you're going to need your articles of corporation. You're going to need a copy of the determination letter, meaning what type of church you are. You're going to need a letter of board resolution. You're going to need the past 3 months of bank statements, and you're going to need 2 forms of ID. Okay, now the 2 forms of ID is going to be who's going to be signing the loan on behalf of the church. It could be the pastor and the secretary. It can be a pastor and a member of the church, but it's usually who's taking lead on purchasing the church. Now, remember one thing: when you're purchasing a church, it's not like a regular commercial deal where uh, you have to do your social security and all this stuff. It's everything's based on the church. So the whole concept of this is to protect the church and allow them to do certain things. So most people want to know, what is a commercial mortgage? How does that work? All right. So what it says is a commercial mortgage is a loan for the purchase or refinance of a commercial property or church. A commercial mortgage is similar to a residential mortgage, except the collateral is a commercial building or church, not a residential property. So a commercial building that'd include a gas station. That'd be like an office building. That'd be the location you're going to have your church at, things like that. So these are all commercial locations. Now, if you like go outside, you're going to see there's a lot of commercial buildings. A lot of people don't pay attention to those. There's a lot of commercial opportunity out there. So for the church, I don't want you guys to miss this. And when you can have a nice church location, or maybe own a shopping plaza to have a church in, these are all different things. And then when you own the shopping plaza, just giving an example, you can have a church, you can have all sorts of different other things that can assist the community do more. All right. So I want to give you guys a perspective of the lender. Okay. Some lenders will only lend on apartments. Some lenders will only lend on office buildings. So it's critical that you understand and have the ability to identify your church and describe it to the lender. Okay, so typically when you're buying a church, you're in the process of getting all that paperwork that we mentioned earlier. All right, once that paperwork gets put in, you're putting in for a contract on the property. Okay, so you probably might deal with the realtor or the owner of the property if he's not using a realtor, and you'll put a contract in on that property. The contract's going to get accepted. Once the contract is accepted, then it's up to whoever's doing your loan, the loan officer, to get your loan put together and funded through a bank. Now, typically, when you're doing a church, they're gonna want some money down. You know what I mean? You're gonna typically look at 20%, 25% down to do the church transaction and whatnot. So just keep that in mind. So the church wants to have money saved and put away to get the transaction done. If the church doesn't have money saved to put away, you're not gonna be able to do that. You got to keep in mind that um, you're gonna have closing costs. You're gonna have fees. You're gonna have different things uh, that's gonna accumulate in the cost of why you're purchasing the church. So as long as the money is set aside and it's ready to go, the church has an opportunity to actually purchase the building. One of the things I want you to keep in mind is while you're purchasing the church, um, your numbers have to make sense. So if your financials don't make sense for the church, and wanting to buy a building, because as a church you're probably going to have certain things that money is going to be allocated for, that it can only be used for that. So you have to keep that in mind. So when you're going through your financials, certain restricted funds. When you have restricted accounts, we have to make sure that when you're trying to purchase the church, you have certain funds allocated just for that purpose. If isn't happening, there's no way the church deal can get done. So I want you guys to keep that in mind. So make sure you're prepared, because when you're prepared, the process is much smoother. You're only asking questions that need to be asked. All right. So, church loan process explained. All right. These are steps that must be paid attention to while purchasing the church. There are also steps you have to pay attention to while refinancing the church. All right. So, I want you to keep in mind these are just general steps that you want to pay attention to while you're trying to purchase your church. So let's go through the church loan process. You're going to be financing. So you're going to pre-qualify for the church loan that works best for your church that you can afford. Okay? We're not just going to come over here and just give you a $2 million church and you only qualify for 100,000. That's not going to work. All right. So we're going to make sure you qualify. If it's 2 million, you qualify for 2 million. If it's 1 million, you qualify for 1 million. If it's 500,000, you qualify for 500,000. And then once that's done, okay, you can complete the requested application, the requested documents. You're going to send everything in, get everything reviewed, and then it's going to get submitted to underwriting. And then from there, you're going to underwriting is going to determine the capacity for collateral and the capacity for the church. And once that is solidified, they're going to review everything and they're going to look through it for compliance. Once that's done and they find out that you can and you're approved and you can do that, they're going to order the appraisal, and we're going to collect the documents that's what I like to say conditions. We're going to collect whatever conditions is needed, and then from there it's a 72-hour waiting period for closing. And we're at that time we'll go over the fee sheet, your HUD or CD, whichever one. Most likely the HUD. We'll go over the HUD. We'll make sure all the fees are in place, and then from there, as long as everything sounds good, you'll be able to sign your closing documents, and you'll be able to move forward and close on that property, and then become the owner of your church. All right. So, what exactly is needed? So, here's a list of what you're gonna need. You're gonna need your articles of corporation. You're gonna need a copy of the determination letter. You're gonna need a copy of the church bylaws. You're gonna need a copy of 3 years financial statements by your CPA. It's gonna have to be signed by your CPA. If it's not, I can't do it. Like, we wouldn't be able to do any kind of loan or any kind of transaction. So until you have your 3 years of financial statements signed and executed by your CPA, we can't do anything. So if you don't have those, you can shoot me a message or reach out to me, and I'll help you point you in the right direction to actually get a CPA to get you set on those. All right. You also need year-to-date financial activities. So from the time you're doing the church, to the current time period, you're always going to need the CPA actively involved in updating the finances and everything you're doing. So you're going to have to be absolutely diligent in what you're doing and understand that if you don't do these things, it can injure you or injure your operation and what you're trying to do. All right. You're going to need a letter of board resolution. So what the letter of board resolution is, it's just a letter from the board stating who can actually do the loan on behalf of the church. So if you guys put out a pastor, you guys have a secretary, you guys want 2 people, you want 3 people on the loan transaction, then you're going to have a letter stating, the church is going to have to prepare a letter stating that the board uh, has come to a resolution that the pastor, the secretary, and the treasurer are going to be responsible for doing the church loan, or whoever it is. All right, but the resolution is going to state that you're going to need the most recent 3 months of bank statement. So we're in January right now, so it'd be December, November, October. Just giving you an example. So the most recent 3 months bank statement. All right. Now, everybody who's signing, you're gonna need a social security number and an ID number and an ID. Okay, social security and ID. So they gotta you remember how we did the letter of the board resolution? We gotta identify those people. We're not gonna be over here pulling credit or anything, but it's just to identify and link those people with the transaction. All right. Now, one thing I gotta make sure I put in place and let you guys know, some churches have conferences, some don't. So if you have a conference that's assisting you, we're going to need those financials. The same 3 years from the conference financials are going to be required also if your conference is assisting you. If you don't have a conference, then it does not apply. Last but not least, you're going to need a copy of your lease. If you're currently renting a location, you're going to need a copy of the lease. This is just to say, this is what I'm currently renting. So if you go look to buy, they can have an idea of what the church can afford based on the lease. Okay. So last but not least, I wanted to leave you guys with this quote. If you take the church, if churches would take ownership of a vision, the next pastor who is thinking about coming to that church can see their vision and then determine if their vision fits with his or her ministry. If it doesn't, then it would be wrong for the pastor to come to that church. All right, that's from John C. Maxwell. You know what I mean? So if you haven't yet, there's going to be a link below. Click that link. If you're wanting help, click that link. Fill out that application. Somebody on my team will reach out. If you're trying to buy a church and you need help right away, somebody on this app, somebody from my team will reach out to you and we'll get you set up. We'll get everything in, and we're gonna help you become the owner of your church. All right. With that being said, once again, my name is Rick Charles, commercial mortgage loan officer. I want to thank you for taking the time to tune in, listen. If you have any questions, I'm gonna make sure that my email is put on the site, and we can continue moving forward. So thank you so much for tuning in. Oh, and one thing, I'm gonna also make sure I email you or send you an email with some special information. So if as long as I have your email, I'll send that email over to you, and you should be good to go. All right. So I look forward to helping you purchase your church. If you have questions, feel free to ask. Call the office. I'm gonna put everything there so it's available to you guys, so you guys can call. All right. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I look forward to helping you. Thank you so much.